Okay, so today we are making gnocchi. It's something that I've never done before, so I feel like we're on equal playing fields for those of you at home that are trying to do this. So it sounds really simple, but only time will tell. So what I've done is I've boiled some potatoes, cut them up into little cubes because I'm going to rice them. You can also mash them if you like. Ricing them just puts a little bit more air into them, and I happen to have a ricer here, so it's just as well. So what you want to do is boil the potatoes and then let them cool. I'm not really sure why, but that's what all the pros say, so that's what I'm going to try and do. So this ricer, I don't know if you can see, but there's little holes along the side as well, so it could get a little messy, so I'm going to try and push it down into the bowl a little bit. So it's not coming out the sides too much, so that's good. You will get a little bit on the top there, so if you can try and catch it before it goes into your bowl, I just pop it back in. Okay, last one. Oops. I'm just going to scrape that off, and then I'm just going to plop messy stuff into the sink. So now what I'm going to do is just start adding my flour in. I don't want to do it all at once. I just kind of want to do a little layer and then mix it in. Just start with my fork. And then once I mix this in a little bit in the bowl, we are going to flip it back onto the counter. This is also a great activity because you really only need flour and potatoes, so it's something that most people would have in their house, so you don't need to go out, you can stay safe and stay home and just do it there with what you have already. Okay. So this is actually the recipe that we use at Piatto for our fried gnocchi appetizer. Okay, so it's starting to get pretty thick, so I'm going to add the rest of my flour, get it all in there. And then pretty soon I'm going to flip it to the table. And you are going to have to knead it for a little bit, and there's really no time that I can tell you on it. It's just till it's all binded together and there's no lumps or clumps. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit more flour down on the table so that it doesn't stink. Let's give this a go. Okay, so if anyone's watched our dough making video, you'll probably remember the sound of this table with the clinking glasses underneath. Kind of forgot about that again. I'm trying to do this really quietly. Again, I kept my jewelry on because we're at the cottage. Been washing my hands so much lately. I'm not overly concerned, but obviously if we were at the restaurant it would be off and my hair would be tied up. Just trying to push this together a little bit just to bind it in before I really start kneading it. Kind of start rolling it. Very difficult on this table. And, I don't know, it was just starting to stick to the table a little bit. You can see this little piece has been sticking, so that's when I just take a little bit more flour, lay it down. So it's starting to look fairly smooth. Okay, so that's about as much kneading as I can handle right now. I have a dough cutter, which is fantastic. If you don't have one, just use a knife, or in our dough video I use a spatula too if you have a metal one. It's pretty easy. So it doesn't really matter how big you cut this because you're going to roll it out again. So I'm just going to do them like this. And now you're going to roll it out again into your actual sizes. So we just want to roll, roll, roll. This is my first one that I'm going to do, and then you cut it to 1 inch. I'm just going to eyeball it. These are gorgeous, fluffy gnocchis, and a lot of people use them like this, but there's a trick that you can do with a fork, which I've never done before, so I'm going to give it a go. So again, I've never made gnocchi before, and this is why I think it's great for everyone at home trying it for the first time. This may or may not work, but from what I understand, you just push it and roll it off your fork a little bit so you get those lines in it. And I guess you don't really have to do this. It's going to taste the same either way. It just makes it look a little fancier. So I think I finally got the trick when I had 3 left. You got to push down a little bit harder and allow it to, like your thumb, to kind of roll off of it. Okay, so you can see behind me my pot is boiling, so we're ready to go. I actually did a little Jamie Oliver trick and I turned the kettle on and then poured it in, it happens a lot faster. So next thing we're gonna do is salt the water, and you want it to be generously because this is really the only time that you can flavor it. So that should be good. So now what we're gonna do, we're just gonna plop them in, and then they're gonna sink to the bottom, and then when they rise to the top, they're done. Okay, so you wanna be careful when you're putting these in so you don't get splashed with hot water. And they go right to the bottom. It's okay if there's a little bit of excess flour on them too, because that's just going to come off in the water. Woo. Just give them a little stir so they don't stick together. And we're just going to eat these the way that they are right now, but there's a couple different sauces you can put on it. You can just put tomato sauce, you can make an aioli, anything you like really. You can dip it, you can put it right over it, whatever you like. It's pretty simple. Because this only has the flour and the potatoes in it, you can add pretty much anything else to it. I know my sister would probably do Frank's hot sauce because it's her favorite, or anything like that. So pretty simple. There we go. So they're all floating now. I'm actually surprised. Okay, so we're gonna turn that off. Okay, so because we don't have any sauce today, we're just gonna fry them up in the frying pan just to get a little crisp on the outside, almost like you deep fried them. So let's give it a go. Woo. So you can hear a nice sizzle there. Because they're already cooked, all I'm trying to do is get that little crunch on the outside. So really high heat for a short period of time. So I'm just going to leave them on that side for a little bit, toss them a little bit more so they move around, and hopefully it'll turn out good. Okay, so they're looking like they start to have a nice golden color on them. So I think that's good for me because you don't want to overcook them either. So I'm going to turn that off and pop them onto our plate. I don't want to pour them onto the plate because there is still a little bit of oil. You could even almost put them on a paper towel just to make sure that they're not soggy. Okay, so again, anyone that knows me knows that I love salt. So I'm just going to salt this little corner here just in case my cameraman wants to give one a try. They're going to be very hot right now, I know, so I'm going to cut it in half first. Oh, you can hear that crunch. Ouch. So you can see a nice golden crunch on there. Super hot on my fingers, so I'm going to lay that back down. And because I just want to try it, I'm just going to dig in. The crunch on that really does make a big difference. So I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe you can try it at home. I think that it turned out pretty well, but you'll be the judge when you try it at home. Look forward to doing this again with you soon. Take care.
That's good.
Yummy.